Alerts off. We got them off. It is Monday Mindset. This is Carroll-Sue, aka Naughty Boss, with two
Sisters. Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Janis, aka, excuse me, Wellness Diva 6.0 on this Monday, June the 12th. And it's obviously Mindset Monday. And here we go. We're ready and roaring to go. Busy week.
Busy. You got a busy week?
No, upcoming week. Busy week upcoming.
So next week or this week? What are you talking about? You're confusing me.
I said this week.
Oh, you said upcoming week. So I didn't know if you were talking about this current week or next week.
This
so
week.
What is so busy about this week?
Lots of podcasts.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm busy in another area, so I am going to do my AM. I've been getting a lot of questions over this. This is my AM detox. I've been getting tons of questions, asking, how do you do this detox? How does it incorporate with your intermittent fasting? How can you take it? Meaning from your mindset perspective. So what I tell people, so I'm actually going to do it. So with the Thrive Detox, it's 10 days. You are on a structured diet, meaning what you can do. So you can do anything plant-based. You can do fish, no animal meat whatsoever, no dairy, no nuts, no seeds. You can have condiments. You can have white rice, all the fruits and veggies you want, fish, as I said, and anything plant-based, no sugar. The problem, because this is where the mindset comes in, especially for me, is that with this particular detox, they want you to eat. They want you to make sure that you're getting in your food, your calories, and because that's also important. But this is not really a time for me to intermittent fast, which that's a struggle because I am consistently been an intermittent faster, over 3.5 years now. So for me to eat smaller meals often is a issue because I'm not hungry. So anyways, I'm going to get to that in a second. So anyways, we do 3 capsules in the morning. So this is my AM. So you're going to get 2 different packs. One says AM, one says PM. Obviously we're in AM. So I'm going to do my 3 capsules now. You're going to drink, obviously a lot of water. Hold on, I'll get this down. Yes, I can get 3 capsules down at once. For some people, that's a struggle too. So they have to have a really good mindset. I can do it. And then, so I'm going to just drink water. Now they would prefer me to have something in the morning. That's where my struggle is because I'm never, ever hungry in the morning. So while I'm trying to fit these meals in on the, more of a better time schedule, I'm finding that the closest I can come is two meals. So I'm still fasting, but I'm breaking my fast probably around 1 versus 3 or 4 or 5. Sometimes I'll fast all the way to 5. And then I'm doing like a 22 fast. So what that would mean is I fast 22 hours and I have an eating window of 2 hours. I also do a 24-hour fast at least once a month, sometimes twice, but generally once a month. And the reason why, so they say, oh, you're on this nutritional program, you're an intermittent faster. Why do you need, of all people, need to detox? Well, detoxing is not just about the food that we're consuming to get rid of, to release that's in our gut or in our bloodstream. It's also the air we breathe. It's a product that we use, whether it be like most of us do at some sort of an occasion. If you're a woman, you go to the hairdressers and other people get highlights, color, treatments, all those things have chemicals in them. Although I've been really using more of a very natural shampoo and conditioner, there are other avenues. And let's face it, you cannot control the air that we breathe in, especially where we're talking about up in New England, Pennsylvania, New York. They're getting, you guys are getting the influx of smoke from Canada. Shame on you, Canada, all about the green. But the problem is you're not understanding that You need the trees to kind of block some of these forest fires, and you cannot just let these logs and trees pile up, because that's what causes a forest fire. Whole other topic. But we can't control the air that we breathe in. So it's just natural that we get toxins in. Like even when you're walking around, how many people use chemicals on their lawn? How many times is your community getting sprayed for mosquitoes? That's a big thing around this time of the year. So there's stuff in the air that seeps in through either the way that we're breathing, obviously breathing in. It's also gets in our skin, our hairs, our nails, whatever. So detoxing every quarter, and that's generally what I'm doing, is good for your whole body. So it's not just about, again, getting rid of the stuff that builds up, because you may be surprised what builds up in your colon. Your colon is quite big. Just
You
going to
don't
say.
have to tell me that, because I just had
Correct.
the colonoscopy 3 weeks ago. Or
Right.
whatever.
Right. So that's, that's the way our body makeup is. Our body can hold a lot. So we got to get rid of that. So my struggle has been just really trying to get more of the food in. The food choices being dairy-free, no meat, that's easy peasy for me. I don't eat a lot of meat to begin with. Actually, I'm starting to rule out chicken now, believe it or not. And I used to love chicken. But again, it goes back to what are the hormones that they're injecting chickens, or through the processing of cutting the chicken or whatever. Like, what are they doing? What are they feeding these chickens? Along with obviously meat. Now, eating meat on a regular basis is not healthy. That's a proven fact. So I was meatless for, I think it was a total of 7 years. But I do enjoy a good steak every now and then. So I really limit, and I'm also limiting where I'm looking to get my beef. So I want it organic. I don't want the hormones. So if I'm going to choose to eat meat, there we go. I'm going to find something. But again, with the detoxing part, we go out to eat, right? We don't know what food quality any certain restaurant is going to get, unless it's like farm to table. There are many farm to table restaurants out there that really only use homegrown, seasonal produce and go to the local farmers and whatnot. And you're seeing a lot more of those types of restaurants pop up, because people are getting more educated in what they're consuming in their body. So I had a lot of questions that regard, like, how does intermittent fasting work? So on the short end, I'm doing a shorter fast time, hour-wise. I'm probably more like 18 hours or 16, I should say it's probably closer to 16 to 18 hours, where generally I'll do 20. So I should actually be eating. So I'm trying to actually introduce like a smoothie late morning, but even that's a struggle. I'm a firm believer that you only eat when you're hungry. And my body's really, I've been intermittent fasting, like I said, for over 3.5 years. So it really, my body is just works better that way. I posted a picture of like 10 years apart, and you see the difference. You see the inflammation. You see my skin was not looking as good. And you don't know when you're in those phases of your life, you don't like, I don't remember myself looking like that, which is so bizarro to me. I just don't. So that's why I say pictures is a good scale to compare how you were versus where you're going. And I really think I'm on day 4 of this detox. It is going well. Like I said, I don't have a problem plant-based, because I'm mostly doing plant-based. I love white rice, so I don't have an issue with that. You cannot do dairy, but you not only can't do dairy, you can't do dairy substitutes. There's a lot of dairy substitutes out there. So if it's plant-based, it's one thing, but if it's not plant-based, you cannot do it. Definitely no sugar. Absolutely no sugar. Natural sugar, yes. So if you want, a tablespoon of honey, which is good, especially this time of year with pollen and things like that, it's always good to get local honey. So that's a good thing to have. Obviously, we have natural sugars in our fruits. All that stuff is okay. It's processed sugar that they don't want you to do. So that's not a real problem for you. Alcohol, I went to a great local distillery. When you guys come up, we'll have to go there. Cool little spot. They distill all their liquors, just the way it's decorated with the barrels. It's really cool. And I drank water. And John had a beverage, and so did my girlfriend Maria. And I just had water. And they're like, isn't that like bad? And I said, no, you can go out and not drink, people. You don't have to drink.
Right, right.
So I had water. And you want to consume with detoxing at least 60 ounces of water. So I surpass that pretty much every day. I generally don't get to the 100 ounce mark, nor do I choose to, because I find that's a little bit too much for me. But at least I'm getting in over the minimum, so I'm happy about that. So overall, it's been going very well. I encourage people to and you do have to have that right mindset. You got to prepare if you don't have those particular foods prepared. And we always talk about that. So I did went out to get some great fruits and veggies yesterday. So I got them all lined up, washed them, got them all in their jar containers. Made sure I had plenty of white rice, which I do. And just kind of double check. I look at my refrigerator. Do I got everything that I need? I went out and bought some. I had sushi last night. And I know sushi, you're not a fish fan, but I absolutely love sushi. So I had some of that. But even with sushi, as you age, you got to be careful because you want to make sure that it's very fresh. So I did. And then I got some different cuts of fish for the week. And so and the thing about plant-based burgers, like doing something plant-based, you also have to check the sodium level, because there is usually a lot of sodium in plant-based foods that are already, prepped or whatever. So you got to double check the sodium. So yes, you have to have a good mindset, and you've got a good mindset when you're organized with your grocery list. And when can I, if you're one of those that can't go out without having that beverage, don't go out then. Like do things that don't require going out to entertainment that way. I don't have an issue with it. I'll just drink the water. Like tonight, we're going to open mic night in Sebastian at the Tiki Bar. So I'm really excited about that. I'll just drink water or a club soda, with lime. I can do that. And I'm fine with that. How's your Monday going?
Oh, it's going very well. Like I said, busy like everyone. And I just want to go back on detox for a second.
Sure.
Detox too, when you're going through, excuse me, that type of a program, is you also have to kind of detox your mind. Like if I know I'm going to do something, I have to start like a detox mindset kind of process. I don't know how to explain it, but it just goes to show you that detoxing, yes, for what you're going through is physical, but it's also the mental preparation. Like you said, you made sure you had all the necessary foods, you wash things, you've got them in your jars. And I think that's fantastic, other than obviously the sushi. So
yeah, I mean, and a lot of people don't, there's a lot of people that don't like fish, and they're like, okay, if I can't have animal meat and I hate fish, what do I do? There's other great ways to get your protein in. I mean, spinach is one of, there's a lot of foods that are enriched naturally with protein. And so do your homework. Know, okay, if I don't like this, what other avenues of food do I have? So I'm not starving. And I can tell you right now, I am not starving. I should probably actually be eating more calories than I am, but because I'm an intermittent faster, this is even a jolt to my system in the sense of trying to get the calories intake in. But I do feel better. Again, it's good for the inflammation and all that. But I like the part that you talked about detoxing the mind, because you do. You have to mentally prepare. Like if you're going to do a 10-day detox, this is probably not the best time to have parties. Or if you're going to go to a party, you have to have that detox mindset that I can still go, have a good time. And I'm going to be drinking, things that have no sugar in them, preferably water, nothing like good old water. And what I love about our company is that there's other things that we can put into our water, like Boost, like Activate, like Blast, like our new colostrum drink. So you kind of change up the flavor. I also tell people to infuse your water, make up a pitcher of water, and crush some nice things in it, like blueberries, strawberries, pineapple's really so sweet this time of year, lemons, limes, whatever it is to get you, because a lot of people just don't even like drinking water, believe it or not.
That is true, and I'm technically one of them. I'm not a big water fan. I do, when I wake up, of course, drink probably 8 to 10 ounces of water with a little bit of a splash of cranberry juice in it.
Mhm.
But think of the way, for instance, you make a mojito. You're you see the bartender like scrunching the berries or whatever it is that they do. Like
Mint.
do that with your water so that you have that infusion, constantly going, and it really does. It really gives it that flavor boost, because I think the only time that I should say that I really drink solid water per se is when I'm working out or when I'm, going for a power walk. You still need to, of course, drink pure water, and I make sure that I do that. Speaking of air quality, you bring up a very good point. Of course, in the Northeast, we had all the issues last week, and I was amazed one morning that our little table outside, on our little patio outside the loft, woke up one morning and it was loaded with ashes. It
Wow.
was kind of gross. So you think about that for a moment, that you're walking out around, maybe you're walking your dog, so you're breathing all of that in. I have a perpetual cough because of a condition that I have. It's not from that, but I noticed, of course, that was being of course irritated. And then, of course, let's talk about Twitter news. What's happening on Twitter? Well, as some of you may heard, in Philly yesterday, I-95. Have you heard about that?
No,
Okay.
I've been detoxing away from news.
Okay, so pretty major. I-95 yesterday morning, going northbound, a tanker oil truck caught on fire underneath an overpass of I-95.
Okay.
Well, from what I understand, there was another car involved. They haven't said much about injuries or anything of that nature, and they didn't say anything about that until toward the end of the day. But of course, this tanker caught on fire, obviously a very hot fire, and it collapsed I-95 northbound. It also inhibited I-95 southbound in that area. So they had to obviously shut down I-95. So there's going to be a lot of delays with everything, not just for the surrounding communities, those poor people who, for instance, in the suburbs have to travel on 95 to get to work. It's just, so I was kind of keeping abreast.
So with the collapse, no one was injured from that?
And this is what is very odd, they haven't really said anything. They said that there was one car and there was a person, but they didn't say, okay, the guy in the truck, like, was there an accident? Was he in an accident with this car? Is that why the truck caught on fire? They really haven't said much, which I think is very, very odd. And of course,
very strange.
The oil got into the water, some of the water supply. So all along in, various suburbs in Philly, in downtown Philly, manhole covers were blowing up.
Wow.
So, prayers to everyone involved with that. Pack your patience, pack your mindset, pack some extra water, obviously give yourself some extra time to, if you have to get around. That's think about that. I-95 is closed in Philly. I mean,
right. I mean, it's
anywhere, right?
So anyone that's traveling, that's going to impact deliveries, mail. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of rerouting. So if you're one of those, you're saying, okay, what's the best? I got to take side roads. I got to take smaller routes to get to my destination. So that, that definitely is going to impact deliveries, special deliveries, people commuting to work, and they're going to have to find an alternative route, which for some is now going to add more traffic and pressure to the areas that would normally see that type of traffic coming through. And also, if you're traveling from south to north, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to reroute a little bit this way, which, oh my God, that's going to add another hour to my long schedule. Well, that's what you're going to have to deal with. So that again comes with, proper mindset to know that it's out of your control. So you want to be a part of the solution for your particular issue instead of being part of the problem and getting yourself aggravated with that news.
Yeah. And, of course, the first thing I thought of was, obviously I've traveled many times to Philly.
Right.
And my thought was, oh my gosh, if I had to get to Philly, so I thought in my head, okay, I definitely can get to Philly. There's different ways to get there. I could fly in, I could take the train, whatever. But, and, of course, I chatted with Ryan via text message, and he said it's pretty much northeast of him. So the initial part when you get into Philly, I think it's called, that route is called 167. And again, I could be wrong about the route number. That goes right into 95. So, I kind of recognize the area because it's very industrial looking, if you will. Once you get up 167, I was like, holy crap. Thankfully, it wasn't on a very busy commuter day. It was very early in the morning. Just, a lot of crazy things. And of course, I'm not going to get into what some other people saying about conspiracy theories. That's not my point or topic of this discussion. But, just suffice it, you have to, I thought of all those people like, oh my gosh, emergency responders that were trying to get there, cleanup crews now that are going to have to try to get there. I mean, it just impacts so much for so many people. It's
sure it does. And what else is going on Twitter news?
Oh, a lot about certain things happening this week in Miami.
Yes. On Tuesday, it's actually tomorrow.
Yeah, quid pro quo with a certain person occupying 1600. So a lot of I've been following the scuttlebutt indeed. And of course, the other big thing on Twitter is controversy about the American flag and how it was unprominently displayed. And definitely they said something about the US flag violations. And, I kind of heard about that. I remember hearing about flag violations like years ago. So of course, I did my due diligence and went online, and I was like, oh, somebody, So
what are you referring to though?
So the person at 1600 had a pride kind of thing at the White House and displayed the pride flag, fine, but on the side was the American flag. So that's against US flag violations.
Correct.
The US flag always has to be prominent in display. Any other flags may be displayed, but they have to be lower.
Correct.
So
a lot of people don't know that. Now, since you brought up pride, I'm going to dive into that. I've been following a lot, and like I said, I don't really follow news sources anymore. I follow just other ways of getting news. And on Instagram, there is a group called Gays Against Groomers.
Yeah,
and they are have these trucks, obviously because it's Pride Month, and they have these trucks that big warning sign on either side and said, "Pride is not for children. Take your children home. We are not supporters of groomers." And a lot of people have a misconception of, well, why would someone who's gay have a problem with children being there? And the reason why they have a problem with children being in there is because of all the things that are going on with the schools, with the propaganda books, with the promotion of very explicit, illicit sexual behavior that comes along with some of these subject matters. And when I say explicit sexual language, that is a broad spectrum. It could be heterosexual, it could be gay, it could be transgender, it could be a bunch of different things. The explicit piece, though, is now you're introducing a sexual theme, but it goes beyond that, because the explicitness, besides the sexual acts in picture form, are not appropriate for children. Then you get the storylines of the incest and rape that is being propagandized, which is probably not even a word, it's kind of my own word. You are portraying that this is normal behavior, and not even normal, but acceptable behavior. Rape and incest, regardless of your sexual orientation, is never normal, should never be permitted, because that is the language that is going out in schools. And there's a lot of schools that are in denial about this. There's a lot of administrators that are in denial about this. There's a lot of teachers that are in denial because they're practicing SEL, social emotional learning, DEI, which all has to do with diversity, equity, inclusion. And this is where they're weaving in these very sexual, explicit topics and or education. Worcester in particular has a very explicit sexual education that they're just pushing through the system. It's passed. Shame on the state of Massachusetts for that. But this is happening all over the country. And I'm happy that my gay friends and my lesbian friends are speaking out against grooming. They are not for that. Many of them are not even for transgender. That's a whole other topic. I think transgender is nothing but a buzzword. It actually has a medical name to it, which is gender dysphoria, which is a mental disorder, just like anorexia. I'm having issues with my words today. So they are using a mental disorder to publicly promote different things. Now, there's a lot of people, that have children that are having this, struggle with their identity. Folks, a lot of it has to do with hormones. If you're going to push a child into, having them bombard you with a planned, which they're learning, by the way, from a lot of influencers that are pushing this agenda of what to do when your parents say no, or when your parents are trying to push you to go see a psychologist or psychiatrist. There is gay people, there are lesbian people, there are heterosexual people, but the community part of the LGBT, and that's where I'm stopping because the rest of it is too much of an acronym number thing that I'm not even getting into. It is a dysphoria. It is a medical condition that is publicly stated in the medical guidance of publications and whatever it may, systems may be for the different groups that are out there. It is a very well recognized issue. So I go back to that question, which I posed a couple of weeks ago. If you're going to listen to your child and your child's feeling like that struggle, why aren't you bringing them to a psychologist, a psychiatrist? Why aren't you asking to have blood work to double check their hormonal levels? And I'm not one for, I'm all about natural ways of a hormonal treatment. But if they have some serious low numbers that they need help in that area, why aren't you helping them with the current body that they are? Now, at the end of the day, if someone wants to get their freak flag on when they're of age consent, where they can, from a mature perspective, make that decision, even though I personally don't agree with it because it's irreversible damage, not only to the physical body, but to the mind. There are many that are coming out that's already started the process or fully went with the process that have nothing but regrets. They totally forever changed their body. It is now been so physically changed to a point that they find they're struggling to even look in the mirror. They know that they can't ever bear children. This is a serious situation. So someone said, oh, it's because you're homophobic. It has nothing to do with being a homophobic, people. It has to do that you're not understanding. So would you allow someone that suffers from anorexia to continue to starve themselves? Or would you do everything in their power to get that mental psyche back to where it should be with professional help and slowly introducing food? You can't argue that point, because you wouldn't let the person that you love starve to death. You would make sure that they get the special treatment that they need for the medical condition that they have. The child at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 do not know verbatim that they want to be another sex. They're struggling, and it could be something as simple as their hormonal levels. And these parents that ignore that situation, I pray for them. I'm not angry with them. I pray for them, because if you decide to really go forward, it's irreversible damage. Irreversible damage. And the proof is in the pudding, because there's too many that actually have gone through the whole process that totally regret it. So you can't refute that. You're refuting the process that your child is going through with somebody that actually already went through it and is telling you, don't do it. And one of the big things that these children say that are now, entering to be young adult, like, where were the adults in my life back when I was 14 years old? Where were the adults when I was 9? Where were the adults when I was 16 to tell me, no, that this is not the right avenue for you, that let's get you some medical help, which includes psychiatric help, and let's work with this together. And at the end of the day, once that child is grown up and is mature and still wants to do it, that's on them at that point. But as a parent, you have you're not threatened by your child threatening suicide, because that's what there's a playbook out there from these influencers that are on Instagram and TikTok and all that. Hey, your parents are going to say this, do this. They're going to say that, your teacher's going to say this, threaten this. Like, there's a whole playbook that these young children are exposed to when they're up in their room, door locked, and they're on TikTok and all these other different social medias. So I am glad that Gays Against Groomers is speaking out finally, and they're having these trucks strategically placed in many different Pride assemblies. And I'm glad. I'm very, very happy that they're coming out and speaking up against it, because I have so much respect for so many people that I know that are gay or lesbian, that are not for transgender, and they're not for children being exposed to things that they shouldn't be. They also have children. And while, yes, they're very proud, which they should be, of their relationship with their partner, they don't broadcast it in the sense that the other people are doing. And they said, I don't want my child exposed to things that includes. And so everyone gets focused on the transgender piece, but they're not understanding a lot of these storylines in these books or these cartoon books have to do with rape and incest. And that is never okay. Never.
Yeah, oh my God, you're so correct. And there's such an injustice as, like, when you have a conversation or a conversation comes up, and the first thing that a lot of people who have opposing viewpoints than you point out, the xenophobe, the homophobic, the blah, stop with the word slinging. Like, I think it's more important to focus on the children, obviously. When our society goes to totally overboard with the ideology and indoctrination, we are at a critical point. And now we always encourage, we have opposing viewpoints, we welcome opposing viewpoints, and we still do. But I have to tell you, when children are at issue, when the children of our future are at stake, and ideology and indoctrination is being literally shoved down their throats, that's where I draw the line.
The other interesting news that really got my mindset going was, I think it's Dr. Martin. I can't think of his last name. I think I sent you the it's on YouTube. Dr. Martin, I can't remember. And he talks about the origins of COVID, and you would be shocked. And the one number I'll give you is 1965. And that's how far back it goes. That was an interesting piece that really got my mindset like fired up in a good way, because there were some things that I already knew. They were brought out in about probably three years ago, excuse me. And, you know, more and more information is coming out about that, which has been buzzing around. And everyone's like, you know, really focused on that, because they're like, you know, I knew there was more to the story. I knew there was more to the story. And that's the point, is when you're open to conversation. And that's why we love saying, you know, you got a different viewpoint, bring it here. It's okay to have a healthy debate. It's okay to disagree, but you better, you know, with certain topics, you better have your knowledge correct. You better have your eggs in a basket. You better have, you know, your research in play, because there's certain topics like that particular one and what's going on with schools that I could run you around circle. And I am proud of that, because there's a difference between giving someone's opinion, which we all have them, which leads to someone's bias. There's another thing about truth. And I heard, I can't remember exactly where I just heard this, and it talked about having two truths. There is no two truths, people. There is truth, period. That's it. Fact, truth, that's it. You can have opinions on either side about that truth, but there's only one truth. So the fact that well, there's two truths.
Well,
there is someone who has an opinion about something, and then you're going to have someone else who has another opinion about something. In the middle is the truth, the fact, and you can't dispute that.
well, it's three sides to the story: your side, my side, and the truth. But what a lot of people fail to realize is when they say, "Oh, this is my truth." Okay, that's great. But that's your opinion,
Right.
Your
This
opinion.
whole don't you think that whole phrase, which drives my truth?
It absolutely is, because the bottom line, it is subjective in nature. For instance, I was earlier talking about the I-95 thing in Philly. That is a truth. That happened. I have my own opinions from what I was gathering from information yesterday, and what I didn't say. That's my opinion, and that is subjective, because I don't have any substantiated proof.
Fact.
I don't have
Truth.
the fact to base that truth. So my opinion in that regard is subjective.
Exactly. And I love the way that you put that, because a lot of people, especially on social media, are so blurred by giving their opinion and stating it as fact without the disclaimer, this is my opinion. And someone that's very postured in that is going to say, no, this is my opinion. I have done research that kind of supports my opinion. But at the end of the day, if I don't have all the facts about my opinion, it's still my opinion. It's not the truth.
And it's subjective. And, you know, the opposite of subjective is objective. And for instance, here's where objective comes into play. And again, a lot of people do not get this. I'm just going to come out and say that. To be objective to somebody else's opinion, you can't just hear. You need to listen, because when you listen with great intent, you may pick up certain things which actually support your subjective view on something, your truth, whatever you want to call it. But you may also learn that what they are telling you, what their truth is not objective in nature, because they failed to look at the other side. And I think it's interesting, you know, It's kind of a word salad. I get it.
It
Although-
is, but at the same time, it's common sense. And I think that's why I don't like the phrase "my truth." You can be true to yourself. That is a correct statement, but it's saying "my truth," being kind to yourself, being objective of your own self, your abilities, your inabilities, being accountable. Those are all being truthful to yourself. But there is no, especially the way the phrase "my truth" is actually being used. If you're using it to promote an ideology, an opinion, propaganda, that is not truth. That is an opinion of a lifestyle or opinion on a certain subject matter, which we all have. It's also called, you might as well just say it's my bias. Same difference, I believe. But again, you know, we have no problem having healthy conversations with other people, even if it doesn't align with the way we think. We're not supposed to all think alike. We're supposed to be able to have different opinions. And through sharing the different opinions, you hope that the end game of that is that each person that's engaging in that conversation learns either something new about the other person, or still may not agree with that person, but has a better understanding, a better mindset as to why that person believes what they do. You don't have to agree with it, but you get a better understanding when you engage in a proper debate. Proper debate is no name calling. Yes, at times the conversation will get heated, but always circling back to a more calmer, peaceful at the end, like in closing, when you're at that closing point of the conversation, to always have a mutual respect that, hey, we don't agree, but at least we understand where the other one's coming from, even though it differs from our opinion. That's how you get things accomplished. That's how you get to understand other people's ideas and what interests them, as well as their belief system. Not everyone's belief system are always going to align, but I think the common denominator, this is why I love what Gays Against Groomers is doing, is there are heterosexual people that truly don't understand the gay and lesbian community as well, and that's kind of where that frustration lies of acceptance. But as a whole, that barrier has been busted, and the one common ground that Gays Against Groomers are showing to heterosexuals, we have the same, we're parents too. We love our children too. We want to protect our children too. We want to keep our children as innocent for as long as we can too. So what I love about that, other than the certain dynamics of what they're saying right now, which is so important, is they're allowing those that don't quite understand the gay community as a whole, hey, we aren't so different. Our sexual orientation's different, but we're not so different. We come together as parents. We come together in faith of promoting good, healthy childhood, growing up standards. We want what's best for our children. We want education to not include explicit material. So a lot of times when you have these conversations and you start debating, you realize that your differences are all not that different, that there is common ground. And that's the hope with a healthy mindset, that you go into these conversations with an open up mindset, that you're going to lay what you feel from your opinion and vice versa. And within that, you can find common ground. And that only comes when you're open and you have an open mindset.
That is so true. So, as we always say, as we always encourage, if you have a different viewpoint, if you want to comment on today's episode, or perhaps you have an idea of what we've been chatting about and you would love to have that conversation with us, please go to our website, www.TwoSistas.online. To the right, you'll see a tab that says register as a guest. Fill that out. We receive an email and we'll contact you from there. And on that note, we hope that you have an amazing Mindset Monday. Remember, it's all about Detox, and what does that mean for you? Would love to hear back from you. My name is Janis, aka Wellness Diva 6.0, and I am with two
Sisters, and I want to give some last minute shout outs. The Spencer family had an amazing weekend. We had Reagan and Jed both scored goals. They both had assists, and Jetty and his Cowboys team, flag football, are the Super Bowl champs with a Super Bowl type bling bling. So he's going to have to take a picture of that. We also want to wish a good election day to Jamie Plablico. If you're in the Dudley, Massachusetts area, today is your town elections. Please consider her. She's the only choice to be on the school committee member that is qualified, that is well informed, and that really wants to partner with the current school committee, as well as the administration and teachers, but also is a big component of really respecting parents' rights and transparency. So if you're out there, Jamie Plablico, I always pronounce her name too with the B and the P and I get confused. But again, that's in Dudley, Massachusetts at their current town election day. So it's their town election day. Check her name off. You will be satisfied. She's willing to partner with everyone. So we're excited about that. And with that, this is Nani Boss with Two Sisters on this Monday Mindset. We gave you a lot to think about, a lot to chew on, and a lot to detox about. With that, we'll see you tomorrow for Triumph Tuesday. Big day tomorrow. Let's see what we got going on. Take care, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.